Welcome back, everyone, for today's video. Today I'm going to be showing you yet another Blitz game that I played on chess.com that gave me 3 brilliant moves. And it's honestly amazing that I got this accomplishment twice in a matter of, I think, a couple or a few days. So yeah, I'm very proud of this game. Just so if you haven't seen my last video about my 3 brilliant moves, I recommend you will check that out. But without further ado, let's get straight into the action. So I start out the game with e4, and my opponent plays d6, the perk defense. I play knight f3, and my opponent plays knight f6, attacking the pawn on e4. Next, I play the move knight to c3, defending and developing the knight at the same time. And my opponent goes g6. Common motif in the perk defense is to fianchetto the bishop to g7 and castle. I play d4, grabbing space in the center, and after bishop g7, h3, kind of a prophylactic move preventing bishop g4 in the future. My opponent goes castles, and I play bishop to e3, just developing a piece. Maybe I'll castle long and start an attack on my opponent's king. Opponent goes a6, trying to go for b5, and I play queen d2, creating the classic battery of bishop to h6 in the future, to try and trade off black's key dark-squared bishop defender of the king. So after b5 happened, Engine recommends to go e5 here, but I kind of rejected this move because after taking, black can trade queens here, and after knight takes, it's basically drawn, but my goal here was to try to attack black's king. That's a common idea in the perk defense, is to try to attack black, and I didn't want to go into an endgame, so that was why I didn't go e5. I instead went a3 to prevent b4 from happening, which I thought was logical, but the engine, for some reason, dislikes the move. It's because after bishop b7, bishop d3, I guess black has pressure on e4 that wouldn't have happened if I had played e5. But alas, I didn't find this. I'm not stockfish, and I still play reasonably well. So after bishop to d3, black goes knight b to d7, developing the knight, and I go bishop h6. Thought it was a good time to offer a trade of bishops, and never in these types of positions do you want to be the one trading the dark-squared bishop as black. Okay, Engine doesn't think it's lost, but basically you let the queen into a little outpost and you have no dark-squared bishop defender, and the dark squares can become weak really quickly. Especially if white plays h4, h5, and rips open the h-file, your king's going to be weak. So that's why it's not recommended to take. So opponent goes c5, challenging the center, and I play d5, advancing in the center and kind of making black's bishop on b7 not targeting anything. It's basically staring at a brick wall. So after c4, kicking my bishop back, my opponent plays knight c5, adding a second attacker to the pawn on e4, and I'm like, sure, it's a good time to take the bishop, and it ended up being the best move. So after king takes, I play the move queen e3, defending the pawn on e4, and my opponent goes queen c7, I guess connecting rooks, and I decide to play the move g4. Maybe I'll castle along next move, but for now I'm focused on attacking the king because it's a little bit weaker now. And yeah, this is the start of my pawn storm. Okay, so my opponent here plays h5. Very questionable decision. Pushing a pawn in front of his own king and basically opening up lines for me to attack on. So Engine basically recommends to take the pawn right away, and after knight takes, to play the move knight to d4, with all sorts of ideas of playing knight f5, queen g5, bishop taking the knight, rook g1. Just very pleasant position for white to play with. But I don't go taking right away. I play the move knight to h4. Still not a bad move. And I'm kind of eyeing the f5 square and also adding the bishop as an attacker on h5. So here my opponent plays a horrible move and basically allows me to end the game immediately. They take the pawn on g4. So my opponent clearly doesn't understand the danger of what he's doing. He pushed this pawn to h5 and now has given me free access to the h-file. And this allows me to initiate my 3 brilliant moves, as you guys are going to see very soon. So, brilliant move number 1, I sacrifice the knight! Knight f5 check. Brilliant move number 1. If you take this knight, then queen to g5 is going to come. The king has to go to the h-file, and then I'm going to rip open that h-file. Rook's coming in, and black is basically defenseless in this position. So that is why after knight f5, my opponent, and if you go king h8, by the way, it's even faster death. Queen h6, and whatever the king does, or if the knight blocks, queen g7 is your next move. You can pre-move it, theoretically. So that's why best move here is king to g8. And I play the next brilliant move. I sacrifice the knight again, but in a different way. Queen to h6, threatening a basically unstoppable queen to g7 mate. And the only reasonable way to stop the checkmate is to take my knight. But that allows me to open the I don't do it right away. I play queen to g5 check first, forcing that king to the h-file. Now I take the pawn on g4 because I wanted my rook to check the king instead of opening the h-file without a check. Now it's checked, so it's more powerful. So after knight h7, there are a lot of ways to win here. You could go simple. You could play queen h6, and there's no way to defend the knight. But I do it in a little bit more style, if I have to say. So I've played the move long castle, and my idea is to activate my other rook into the game, and I'm preparing to either double on the h-file or sack the rook for the knight and basically checkmate black because he'll be stranded on the h-file. So my opponent tried the move rook to g8, trying to shoo my queen away, but I wasn't worried about that. Third brilliant move, I sacrificed, you guessed it, the rook! Rook takes h7 check, forcing the king to take, and rook to h1 mate. So yeah, this game was very pleasant to see how my brilliant moves basically earned me the victory. I'm down 5 points, so I basically sacrificed a lot of material to end up checkmating black here. And if we look at the game review, you guys can see that I have a 94.4 accuracy, which is really high for a blitz game. And yeah, indeed, I have the 3 brilliant moves in the game review. So that was another accomplishment that I want to add to my collection. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and also learned about not pushing pawns when you're preparing to be attacked. It's kind of like inviting your opponent to mate you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please leave a like, comment, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button below. And until next time, have a great rest of your day.